I wasn't the villain. I was just the one who stayed too long. You want the truth. Not the second-hand version passed around like gossip at a brunch table. Not the simplified tale where I'm painted as the cold-hearted girl who wrecked a perfect relationship just because she could. You want the real story. Fine. Here it is. My name is Rain Walker. I'm 26 years old. And I'm tired. Not just the kind of tired that sleep can fix. I mean soul-deep exhaustion. From being misunderstood. From being labeled. From being cast as the villain in a story no one cared enough to hear from my side. So this is it, raw, unfiltered. Not to beg for sympathy, not to justify everything I did. But to finally say what no one ever asked me. What really happened? I was with Landon Brooks for 2 years. 2 years of birthdays, holidays, inside jokes, burnt toast and shared laundry. We lived in this modest apartment overlooking the trail near Belridge Park. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. To outsiders, we looked like one of those Instagram-ready couples. Cute, committed, always in sync. But what people don't see is how things fall apart quietly. Not with explosions, but with silence. With distance. With the slow realization that the person beside you is already halfway out the door. Started around month 18. That's when Landon changed. Not overnight. More like watching summer fade into fall. You feel the chill long before the trees turn. He started coming home later. Said his team was swamped. Last-minute deadlines, he'd say, loosening his tie while not meeting my eyes. Then came the phone behavior. Turning it face down, laughing at texts he wouldn't explain, taking it into the bathroom like it was made of gold. And I know maybe to someone else that sounds paranoid. But when you're used to being someone's favorite person, you feel it when they start treating you like background noise. Tried. I asked him if something was wrong. If work was stressful. If we were okay. He'd brush it off with the same condescending reply. You're overthinking again, Rain. Like my gut instinct was some character flaw. Like my emotional needs were a burden. I work in customer support. I spend 9 hours a day getting yelled at over billing errors and broken routers. I come home exhausted. Often on the verge of burnout. And the one person I used to lean on, the one I used to share stupid memes and late-night fries with. He was gone. Physically there. Emotionally. Checked out. When I'd vent about my day, he'd nod without looking up from his screen, or worse. Scroll Instagram while I talked like I wasn't even in the room. Do you know how humiliating it is to feel like an interruption in your own relationship? And the money, God, the money. Suddenly everything I suggested was unnecessary spending. A weekend trip to the lake. We should save. Dinner out. There's leftovers. But then he'd drop money on a drone or some deluxe controller for his game setup without blinking. It wasn't about budgeting. It was about control. About sending a message. You don't matter enough. So when my best friend Mira invited me to her 27th birthday bash, I said yes like it was oxygen. I needed a night. One night to feel like me again. I even hoped Landon would come. Maybe we'd dance. Maybe we'd remember how to laugh. But predictably he bailed. Work emergency, he texted. No apology. No effort to reschedule. Just another reminder that I was on the bottom of his list. I offered to stay home. I wanted to give him an out. Maybe we could order pizza, watch a movie, try. His reply. You should go. You'll have more fun without me. That sentence hit me harder than any insult. Because it wasn't just the words. It was the tone. Dismissive. Like getting rid of me for the night was a relief. So yeah, I went. And on the way out the door I made a decision. Not to spiral, not to seek revenge, but to live. To remember that there was a version of Rain who smiled without guilt. Who danced without wondering if someone was checking their watch. The bar was this sleek rooftop spot downtown. It was everything I needed, lights, music, laughter. Mira, Keisha, and Lennon were already 2 rounds in. And when they saw me walk in, the way they screamed my name, I felt something loosen in my chest. We danced. We toasted. We existed without fear of being too loud, too emotional, too much. For the first time in months, I didn't feel like I was taking up unwanted space. But every time someone asked, Where's Landon? I repeated the lie. Work. And every time it tasted more bitter. I drank more than usual. Not because I was trying to lose control, but because I was trying to drown that question that haunted me every day. Why wasn't I enough for him anymore? Posted a few photos. Nothing wild. Just us laughing, a boomerang of the sparkler dessert. I wanted Landon to see me again. Not to make him jealous, but to remind him. I'm still here. Do you even notice? Then I saw him. He was leaning near the bar, sipping something amber. Charcoal suit. Confident smile. At first I thought Landon. But no. This guy looked at me like I mattered. His name was Elias. When he approached, it wasn't flirtation. It was curiosity. Conversation. He asked me about my job. My favorite book. My dream vacation. And he listened like every word I said was worth hearing. My friends noticed. Keisha's eyebrows nearly hit the ceiling. Mira pulled me aside. Are you sure about this? She whispered. No, I wasn't sure. But I was done being ignored. Done waiting around for a boyfriend who only showed up when he needed clean socks. When Elias asked if I wanted to grab a coffee someplace quieter, it wasn't some sultry invitation. It was an escape hatch. And I took it. His apartment was small but warm. Books stacked along the windowsill. Mismatched mugs. He made tea, handed me a blanket. We talked for hours. About everything and nothing. And when he kissed me, it didn't feel wrong. Felt like permission. I didn't sleep with him to hurt Landon. I didn't do it to make a point. I did it because, for once, I felt wanted. Because after months of withering in silence, someone finally reached for me. The next morning I didn't cry. Felt clarity. When I walked into our apartment and saw Landon sitting at the kitchen table, I knew he wouldn't understand. I tried to explain. To tell him how long I'd been lonely. How I'd been trying to reach him while he drifted farther away. But all he heard was betrayal. All he saw was the headline, "She cheated." He didn't want the backstory. He wanted a scapegoat. I turned to my friends next. Thought they'd understand. They didn't. Mira, who I'd comforted through 3 failed relationships, couldn't look me in the eye. Keisha blocked me altogether. Apparently, nuance is too heavy to carry when you've already picked a side. Landon told his story first. And in this world, the first story always wins. So I became the cautionary tale. 18 months later, here I am. In a 1-room apartment that smells like burnt toast and overwatered plants. Still answering angry calls from entitled customers. Still trying to rebuild friendships from scratch. Landon. He's glowing. New girlfriend. New Instagram aesthetic. Weekend hikes, cooking classes, dog yoga. All the things I begged him to try with me. He does them now with her. And yeah, it stings. Not because I want him back. But because it makes me wonder if I was just the warm-up round. The trial version. People say I got what I deserved. That his glow-up is proof I was the deadweight. But those people weren't there for the cold dinners, the unanswered texts, the nights I lay awake crying while he turned over and slept like the world owed him peace. They saw a mistake. I lived a slow, invisible death of a relationship. So if you ask me now, do I regret that night? Well, I regret staying long after I stopped feeling seen. I regret letting someone make me feel like too much and not enough all at once. But I don't regret remembering what it felt like to be wanted. To breathe again. Call me what you want. But don't call me heartless without knowing how badly mine was breaking.